Annabelle as always. So we are diving into a first franchise of the year, and we are going right into Nightmare on Elm Street. We are kicking it off with the first one. Yes, I'm reviewing all of them with the exception of Freddy vs. Jason, which I have already reviewed as part of the Friday 13th franchise, but I will include that video in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review as well, just so that way you guys don't have to kind of go back and forth between the two lists. But let's start it off with the OG that came out in 1984 that stars Heather Langenkamp, Ronnie Blakely, Johnny Depp, Robert Englund, obviously, as Robert Englund. Robert Englund's playing himself. No, he's playing Fred Krueger. We have Amanda Weiss, who actually was also in Fast Times at Ridgemont High 2 years before that. Only reason why I bring that up, because I brought this up before. That movie has actually a few people who had been or would be later on starring in horror movies. You had Brian, what's his name, from The Burning, that was also in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Obviously, Amanda Weiss. And not to mention, in the little gym area when they're having the little pep rally, one of the cheerleaders, the brunette, is Pamela Springsteen, who would replace Felissa Rose for Sleepaway Camps Parts 2 and 3. So that is your little fun fact, horror-related stuff. Anyway, so we're still going on with people that are in this movie. So we also have I'm blanking. We have Lin Shaye in this, the sister to Bob Shaye, and we also have oh my god, why can I not think of your name? Oh my gosh. John Saxon, Mr. Saxon, I am sorry. God, your sexy ass face was in my mind the whole time. God damn you. But yeah, and also we have Jesus Garcia, aka Nick Corey, as he was credited in this movie. So, we got a terrific little cast of characters. We have a great script, and we actually had an inspiration for this script. So, Wes Craven wrote and directed this script and film, and the way he actually kind of came about it, or it was inspired to do this, was there was a series of articles, I believe in the LA Times, that he had read about these young gentlemen dying in their sleep. These refugees from sort of, I think around Asia or of Asian descent, who, made their way to America or whatever, and weird thing is these kids were dying. They wanted to stay up, didn't want to go to sleep or anything, but when they finally did, they would end up not too long after falling asleep, literally shaking violently and just dying in their bed. So he just Craven was wondering oh my god, what if they don't want to sleep and because someone is trying to kill them? So that's kind of how he got the idea of Freddy. And Freddy, I know, actually is a culmination of a character of a few people that he knew in real life. I think one was a schoolboy, Fred Krueger or something, or Fred, who was kind of the resident sort of class bully or something. And then there's also a time when he was younger, when Craven was younger, and he saw this homeless man or someone who just was walking, and it freaked him out, so he's kind of peering through his window a little bit. The guy kind of stopped, looked up at him, freaked the little Wes Craven out, who kind of was hiding under his covers for a good 10 minutes or whatever. Kind of went back to see if the guy was still there. Guy was still staring up at him from downstairs up to his window and everything. That freaks me out, and I didn't even witness it. I'm just saying. So that's kind of how he sort of came about with the Freddy Krueger character and the script and everything. So yeah, oh my god, just awesome little, interesting little script. A phenomenal cast, like I said. And this movie, oh my goodness, it actually was being shopped around for, I think, about like 3 years or so, I believe. Wes Craven had said, like, you know, a number of years, like, you know, he was passing to everyone. Everyone was like, "This is stupid. This is dumb. This is not scary." Even showed it to Sean Cunningham, who wrote and directed Friday the 13th. And he even said, "No, don't do this movie. It's not scary. People aren't going to be scared by this, and people are going to know it's a dream, so why are they going to be scared about it?" Thankfully, Wes Craven was just so passionate about this and believed so much in the script that he kept, you know, going to people and shopping it around. And thankfully for Bob Shaye, who obviously was working at New Line Pictures at the time, which was a distribution company at the time, weren't even making movies or anything, weren't producing movies, wasn't a production company, you know, read the script and was kind of like, "Hey, you know what, let's actually try and make our own little movie and actually try and, like, maybe make something instead of just making $10 off of our copy of Pink Flamingos or Polyester or whatever," you know. I'm just saying. So, like, kudos to those men for believing in the script and everything. So literally when people say this is, you know, Freddy is, or I'm sorry, New Line is the house that Freddy built, it is true, because after that, like, they started making more movies and everything. So way to go, you burnt piece of crispy burnt motherfucker. I don't know. But anyway, no, it's a terrific script and everything. In the cast, I love the cast of characters in this, because you could, like, they're just, here's the thing, they're not, like, totally overdeveloped, but they're just developed enough where they have their different, like, significant qualities and everything, and you can identify with these characters, or even if there's something going on in your life, you can identify with at least one or two of these characters. Like, you know, if you're kind of like a jock or a sports type of person, you definitely are relating to Glenn. If you're a little bit of, I don't want to say prom queen, but just kind of like that girl next door, you're, you know how to use your mind, you're intelligent and everything, you like to use your mind and everything, and you're accepting of people, you're definitely looking at Nancy. If you've got some problems at home and stuff, maybe, you know, got a little bit of broken home or something, or you're in a single parent household or whatever, you can definitely relate to Tina or Rod. Rod, I definitely feel is like is the least kind of developed. Like, we don't know a whole lot about him, but I feel like he does have, you know, his issues and everything. Maybe, you know, I feel like maybe he has some abusive tendencies, but not necessarily his fault necessarily. I feel like it's something that maybe his father is a little bit abusive and everything, so he's got that little bit of an edge and everything. But you kind of do see at certain points in this movie with Rod Lane that, you know, he's a good person. You know, he just has that shit end of the stick of, you know, being that rebel, having that history and everything. I mean, and plus, too, it doesn't help that Nancy Langenkamp, Heather Langenkamp's character, Nancy, her dad is a police officer, he's a lieutenant and everything. So I'm sure, you know, he's had to deal with Rod Lane a couple of times, and it's probably like, this kid's just bad news. I mean, even, like, when my dad was on the police force and, like, high school kids and stuff, he would kind of have, like, repeat run-ins and stuff. And, you know, of course, he'd always be like, nope, they're bad news. And it's like, Dad, no, honestly, some of these kids, like, it's just their environment, and, you know, some of you just gotta show a bit of love, too, and show a little bit of, you know, of acceptance. So that's sometimes what they need, whatever. But anyway, sidetracked. So obviously, you know, we've got a good story and everything. These kids, a group of kids, we come to find out as the movie goes, are all dreaming about the same man, Fred Krueger. Who the hell's Fred Krueger? We have no idea, like, anything about our antagonist. at first. We just know that he's like killing these kids in their dreams and everything. We're like, what? And they soon find out that they are all having like these dreams and everything. Like first Nancy and Amanda kind of, figure it out. Because, I mean, they're girls, they're going to gossip and everything. And, of course, Glenn and Rod, two polar opposite guys and everything, they're not going to, like, confine in that. Because, they're supposed to be, like, the tough guys. I'm supposed to take care of my girlfriend and stuff. Like, you guys can have nightmares and stuff. So they know that they're having the same dreams, but they're a little, like, okay, you guys are just over-exaggerating, whatever. So, of course, one by one, they're getting killed and everything. And, like, the dreams, I like that the dreams, and I don't know if Craven necessarily did this on purpose or what, but definitely the dreams, I feel as though for the kids, because obviously, Freddy overall is coming back after these kids after being burned by these kids' parents years before, because the movie doesn't say it because they kind of decided to leave it out. Maybe rightfully so, maybe not. I don't think we were quite ready for this in 1984. But in reality, he was a child molester, okay? Not just a little child killer, but a molester. But for the sake of the movie and everything, he was a child killer or whatever. He'd kill kids and everything. So, he got off due to a technicality and stuff. So, of course, parents get together, rightfully so. I mean, I can't even, like, argue against the parents in doing this. They go and torch him. They go torch Fred Krueger, because you know what? He's not gonna do that to their kids anymore, and he needs to fucking pay. I'm just saying. So, of course, his spirit demon ghost or whatever comes and starts killing these kids off. Brilliant. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm just saying. But no, something that I kind of liked about this, and I don't think, I'm not even sure if Craven meant to kind of do this or sort of have the dreams be a little more significant to the characters or around the characters, but when you think about it, of course these kids are going to have terrible nightmares. I mean, aside from, like, Freddy Krueger, but I feel like he's also kind of like a manifestation of things that these kids can't quite control in their lives. Like, think about it. Like, Nancy, her parents, every time you see them in a scene together, which isn't often, they're usually kind of, like, at odds with each other. Like, they try and stay face for their daughter, especially during this difficult time. But, like, her dad's always at work, being a lieutenant and everything. Her mother is a drunk, so right there, just having, like, a mother who is an alcoholic, something that you can't control or anything, you can't really do, because, it's like, at that age, it's like, well, I'm the adult, you're the kid, type of thing. Like, so there's things like that. Plus, you look at Amanda Weiss's character, Tina, broken home, she lives with her mom, and presumably her mom's boyfriend, because we do see the boyfriend in one scene, and, it seems like they're always kind of, like, they're always kind of taken off to, like, even at one point in the movie, they're like, oh yeah, the mom's in Vegas with a boyfriend or something, so she's probably pretty assumably that she's home alone a lot. Even, like I was kind of saying a little bit ago about Rod Lane, where, we don't have a whole lot of backstory. Like, both Glenn and Rod, the males of this movie, we don't get, like, a whole lot of, like, background and development compared to Amanda Weiss's character and Heather Langenkamp. But with Rod and Glenn, to an extent, we can kind of put two and two together, or, like, make our own conclusions. Like, Rod, like I was saying earlier, he, obviously has, like, sort of, like, a tough edge and everything, kind of gets a bad rap, I think, just because of, like, his sort of, like, upbringing. Like, in my mind, I feel like his dad was probably one that was maybe slightly abusive, I don't know if he was quite necessarily like full-fledged abusive, but maybe at least emotional, like tough guy. Plus Italian. Like if he's trying to play off like he's Italian. I don't want to stereotype, but I know, a couple of my Italian friends and stuff. Like some of them got a little bit of a hard head, like very stubborn. Hispanics can sometimes be the same way too. Like my dad is very much very stubborn in that way and everything. So I get it. I totally get it. And I feel like with Glenn, like, being the jock and everything, maybe we only really see his parents for like maybe like 2 minutes at most in the movie. And even with his parents, especially his dad, just seems kind of like, oh, you could do better. Like focus on sports. So it's like different pressures and everything that these kids are dealing with is going to then manifest this burnt, crispy guy who was killed for killing kids. Yeah, and there's a lot of things in this movie that were changed or cut out. Like I just mentioned that originally he was supposed to be Freddy was supposed to be a child molester. Like I know the remake, I very little about the remake that I give credit for, but I would really have to like watch it again, and I will when I get to it. But I do remember a little bit that they did touch on that a touch more, at least insinuated it in the remake of like the child molestation and everything. So, which is not like, that is a very tough sort of topic to tackle, but I feel like, it just kind of was a missed opportunity in this one. I feel like it would have made a little more sense, at least for this first one. And also, too, I know a lot of you guys have probably seen over the last year or so about a deleted scene where Ronnie Blakely's character is telling her daughter Nancy about Fred, backstory of Fred and everything, that in that same scene, apparently, Nancy had a brother and he was killed. That right there, I wish would make it into the movie, and I wish it would have stayed in the movie back then, because I feel like that would have changed so many different dynamics of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I really do. Actually, both those little things, like, I feel like would have made it much more darker than it was. Maybe even had more serious sequels, not going so funny, like such a funny Freddy all the time. But I'm just saying, that's just me. I don't know what you guys feel or anything, but yeah. So, but oh my god, this movie is just so good on so many levels. I mean, I grew up watching this movie. This was one of like the three that really got me hooked into horror. I know a lot of you guys have gotten into horror because of this movie. So, but there is Nightmare on Elm Street, our OG review. Come back next Thursday for Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Till next time, you guys, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.